back to the recap. Freshman Wyatt Young.
And freshman Jack Boone. Today we are discussing the weirdest NBA rules that the NBA has enforced or has always had on players and teams.
The first rule we will be discussing is a team must save a timeout for the fourth quarter or a technical foul must be given. Wyatt, how do you feel about this rule?
Well, I kind of think naturally a team should always just keep one for the fourth quarter, just in case they need one like down the stretch. But to make a team have to keep one, like, because there could be a number of reasons why they may need one in the third quarter or for some reason, but it might also be because, well, I'm guessing because they want commercials, so they have to take that time, so they have to each team has to at least have one timeout. Jack, how do you feel about it?
I think that it's pretty important to force teams to save a timeout for the fourth quarter, just because they're more hesitant to use them throughout the game, and it kind of slows down the first part of the game anyway. If they use all of them in the first half or first three quarters. So, and saving them also gives them a chance to think about when they want to use the rest of their timeouts and how they want to use them, because they need to think carefully in how to use them. Why do you think they made this rule?
I think they made it to have that rule just so that the game will go by faster, like you said, and the fact that it'll give them more chance for commercials and make them more evenly spread out, because no one wants to watch a game and then have constant commercials because timeouts are being called. But they also have commercial timeouts in the NBA. Our next rule is the no logo except for shoes rule. In 2013, a player had the Adidas logo shaved into the back of his head, and the NBA ended up making a rule about this because of the fact that it's too much of, like, you could say, showboating for their brand, and Adidas ended up letting go this player. But typically players don't even do this anyways, but there have been other cases where, like, Lonzo Ball, I believe, had Big Baller brand tattooed onto him, but he has to cover it up when he plays in some games. It's just an interesting rule. Jack, how do you feel about that?
Well, NBA brands that sponsor the NBA are allowed to be on players, such as tattoos and like sleeves. But and when J.R. Smith was on the Nets, he had a Supreme tattoo on his leg that he had to cover up each game. And because Supreme doesn't sponsor the NBA or any team in the NBA. The next rule is if you shatter the backboard, a technical foul is given and the points do not count.
Really? Because, like, that doesn't make sense to me. Because if you were a player and you were to go and dunk it and somehow shatter the backboard, even, like, it's not like you were trying to. And if you were, well, that's just kind of the ref's decision, but really you probably weren't. How can they give you a technical and take the points away when all you did was just make an aggressive play?
I don't know, because usually when they shatter the backboard, you're trying to either go for a poster or make a statement, so
yeah.
I guess even if you aren't trying to shatter the backboard, you're trying to do something to show off. So,
and it's dangerous.
And it's a delay of game. So if they want to keep the game going, I think that's a fair point to try to make players so they take more caution into going for dunks and take more precaution to shattering backboards.
Our next rule is the no 0-0 rule. This means that a player cannot have 0-0 for his number during a game. This is because it makes it harder for refs to signal to whoever is keeping the book or announcing that there is a foul called, or like it could be a technical foul or just any foul in general. Because just going with the fact of going 0 and then turning your hand over and doing 0 again, or however you want to signal it, it's too hard. And if late in the game players they have to do that, it can be hard for them to tell who has the foul or not. Thank you for tuning into the recap with freshman Jack Boone
and freshman Wyatt Young. For an extra part of the video, I'm asking Wyatt what his favorite and most important rule in the NBA is.
Well, that's hard because, like, you can't have a game of basketball without rules, because then it wouldn't be basketball. Whether or not it was from fouls to going out of bounds to traveling. So that's a really hard question to answer. But probably the most important rule that they have to keep in would probably be fouling, because otherwise players would be physically hurting each other more than they already end up getting hurt. It would be dangerous. It wouldn't be as fun to watch. What about you, Jack?
I think my favorite rule is that you can't pass the line when people are taking free throws, because I've seen multiple videos where they try to stay behind the line, they just fall on their face, and I think that's pretty funny.
Yeah, it is pretty funny.